Welcome to the Home Team Podcast. I'm Carl Falconer.
And I'm Danny Arroyo.
And we're tackling homelessness. Today in our podcast, we'll discuss two of our passions, football and ending homelessness. Please join us through 4 quarters with our topic this week being prevention. So how's your weekend, Danny?
It was good. Went to Tampa to see a concert with my wife, so that was good. Went to the Yingling Center. Never been there before.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's the college at USF. So
Oh,
that's what it's called. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So saw a good concert there, and then that's it.
That's it.
It was a quiet weekend. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Great.
How was yours?
Good weekend. Good weekend. My Bears are still rolling along, so that was good.
Yeah.
Mainly relaxed this weekend. The HUD NOFO came out, so I did a lot of reading on that. We'll talk about that a little bit in our headlines. But pretty chill weekend. Overall.
Cool.
So
It's good to have those quiet ones.
all right. So now, as we start off every episode, we'll start with the coin toss. Danny, you will call it in the air.
Heads.
It is tails, so I will start us off.
Okay.
All right, welcome to our first quarter. I'm going to kick off by defining our topic of the week, and then we'll cover some news, headlines, and announce the results from last week's NFL home team locks of the week. So, as I said, our topic this week is prevention. Prevention of homelessness refers to the range of policies, programs, and actions designed to stop individuals or families from losing their housing and becoming homeless. It involves identifying people who are at risk and intervening early to address the factors that may lead to homelessness, such as financial hardship, eviction, relationship breakdown, or health issues. In simple terms, homelessness prevention means helping people stay in their homes or finding alternative stable living arrangements. Some examples of prevention services or prevention programs are rent or utility to help stop evictions, legal aid or mediation between tenants and landlords, case management to connect people with housing or benefits, support for at-risk groups like youth or veterans or domestic violence survivors, or affordable housing programs and tenant protection policies. So I think you've had a little bit more experience with prevention than I have, Danny. So tell me what your thoughts are.
It's helping those that are close to being evicted, who are living check to check, who something happens, a car breaks down, there's an illness. A lot of that happened during COVID when people got sick, and just needed that little push to kind of cover them for that month. It's not. It's making sure it's not putting a Band-Aid on it. It's just making sure that we're helping them for that month, and then they'll get back on their feet.
Right.
So I did it for a while. It was pretty successful. We helped a lot of people rent and utilities, but there is a lot of just criteria to it that comes along with some of that funding, and some of it limits the amount of money that goes out, especially with rent. When rent is so high, and some of the funding would, from my experience, would cover like $1,000, which is really not realistic.
Right.
Especially when you're serving families who have a rent about $1,600, $1,700. So it's really difficult to help those people who just didn't have the extra money to cover. And we do a little bit of it here with our Flex Fund, for our residents. But it works well. Case management, I think, is really important in it. Because we want to make sure that they're going to be okay afterwards. So that check-in, 30 days, 60 days, I think it's really needed just to make sure that they're staying on track. Or even provide other services like our employment center, come back and, do your resume and let's see if we can find a better job for you. And so it works well if it's done correctly.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing overall that I've seen with prevention services is there's so many different types and done so many different ways. Usually the funding source is the one that determines what the rules are, if you will, or what the eligibility is. Yeah. And sometimes that makes it a little bit wonky, and I would say less effective, because the funders typically don't understand who they're trying to serve or how they're trying to serve them. So they'll come up with these just abstract rules, like you said, $1,000 limit or $500 limit or $100 limit, not keeping in mind who their population is or what they're trying to do. I think the more narrow the focus of the prevention program is, it seems like the tighter and the better it is.
Definitely.
You mentioned our flex fund.
Yep.
We keep it pretty tight. We're not trying to serve everybody with our flex fund. We're trying to serve a very specific group of people in a very specific way with the flex fund. These broad prevention programs like COVID, when COVID came out, I mean, there was a lot of money and they were trying to serve a lot of people. And I think it just got a little bit out of control there in terms of the, who they're trying. You can't serve everybody the same exact way. And unfortunately, when you set those rules and then you're trying to serve 1,000 people with 1,000 different problems, that's where it gets hairy. And
there was some of the funding that I was working with was so specific. You had to live at a certain zip code. You had to be in city limits. You had to be. It was just so, and we had a lot of different pots of money, which was great.
Right.
But the case managers will have to take a long time to figure out which one do you fall under.
Right.
Which one works for you. Then start gathering. It slowed down the process a lot when someone's just close to being evicted.
Yeah.
So we will have to intervene and talk to the landlords and try to say, listen, we're working. And some wanted to, and some were like, I want my money now. And,
absolutely.
But I think I agree with you. If you make it narrow, what the steps are, like our flex fund, it makes it easier to start the process faster.
Right. Well, and again, if you target very specific populations, and I think that's one thing that I've seen that prevention programs don't do as well. And again, we'll talk about this a little bit in offense, defense, but they don't do as well as they don't target populations very well. And when they do that, they're better. When they don't, they're worse.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now let's take a look at some of the headlines from the homeless world. So this week, the HUD Notice of Funding Opportunities, NOFO, dropped. This application provides funding for housing and services. Some of the changes to this year's application include limiting permanent supportive housing to no more than 30% of a community's allotment, 40 hours of service per week for transitional housing participants, and PSH, permanent supportive housing, limited to people who are over 62 years of age or having a physical disability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're really, and the only thing I could say about this, Danny, is that it's really hard to change the rules in the middle of processes. We have people who are living in permanent supportive housing now. We have people who are living in housing with HUD funding now.
Right.
If you change the rules and all of a sudden a vast majority of those people, or even half of those people, are not eligible anymore, and you're trying to create these new programs or these new things, basically you're making people homeless. You're essentially kicking people out
on the street.
out of programs. And so that's what I think is the most troubling about this notice of funding opportunity, is that they're essentially changing the rules of the game in the middle of the game when we've already got people into programs based off of previous rules. And from what I can tell so far, there's very little opportunity to be able to transition from one set of rules to the other set of rules. It's basically, look, you have to now do all these different things, totally different than you were doing before, and you've got to do them immediately. And that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It's just...
Look, I mean, right now, does the system work for permanent supportive perfectly? No. There's kinks, right?
Sure,
there's issues that we're addressing.
Yeah.
But it's working for us. It's working for what we're doing.
Yeah.
And now, like you said, to kind of disrupt everything going on with all these people in these units is pretty saying you have to send them back out to the street, which we won't do, of course.
Right.
But it's changing the way we do everything here. It's going to
right.
change our process, our systems, just the whole thing. It's very frustrating, very, very frustrating.
And if they and I understand the intent of this. The intent of this is to move more money to people who are able-bodied and can work, and get them into housing and programs that will help them become self-sufficient.
Right.
And I have no problem with that. But what they should have done is they should have added more money to the pot.
Right.
And said you can only use this money for transitional programs for people who are able-bodied to get them self-sufficient. You don't take money away from the people who are already housed and working their programs and then move it to a totally different program for a totally different group of people.
Yeah.
That doesn't even make any sense
You
whatsoever.
took from one to give to another, and now
it does no good because all you're doing is creating homelessness on the other side.
Right, exactly.
That's it.
Yeah, right. You're housing one, but another one's getting homeless.
That's exactly
Just
right.
doesn't make sense, so.
It doesn't make any sense how they got it set up.
We have some work to do.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, so let's see how our Cowboys and Bears did this week. So my team was on a bye last week. They came back this week, and they played the Raiders, and they won 33-16.
Yes.
Fortunately, I didn't watch it. I wasn't feeling well, so I went to bed early. You know, age is catching up with me. But yeah, I woke up, and first thing I did was check the score, and I was like, "We won. I'll take it."
Hey, I was gonna say maybe you should not watch them
Maybe
more often.
I should go to sleep more often. Yeah. So right now our record is 4-5, and that dreaded one. We're actually in second place. I don't know if that means anything.
I was gonna say absolutely. I mean, the way the teams are playing this year, the Cowboys are not in a bad position.
They're not. Yeah.
I mean, if they could get on a little bit of a roll, play some easier teams, then they could get right back into it.
So let's speak about next week's opponent. Let's talk about easy teams. I don't know if you know this team, but they're called the Philadelphia Eagles, defending champions. So we didn't fare well the first game against them this year. So we are playing them at home.
Yes.
It is on Thanksgiving.
Oh,
is it on Thanksgiving?
Yeah,
I think it's Thanksgiving.
I think it is Thanksgiving. Yeah.
So it's an important game because we'll see. We'll see. I'm at a loss for words sometimes with my team, but all right.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, your Bears.
No, I don't think it'll be on Thanksgiving
No,
because that'll be next week.
That's next week.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
this will probably be Sunday.
This is the Sunday game, right? And then they play on Thanksgiving.
Right, then they play on
You're right.
Thanksgiving after that,
They play
yeah.
the Chiefs. I'm sorry,
Oh, the
Thanksgiving.
Chiefs on Thanksgiving.
So
Okay.
it's two easy games.
Yeah, there you go. Too easy.
We got this. All right, your
There you
Bears
go.
again, last,
Hey!
all the way at the end again.
All the way at the end of the
Jeez.
game, and they scared me a little bit more on this one. I was happy to see a win. I know the Vikings have a really good defense though, and that's one of the things I was worried about. But our offense overcame that. So my Bears won 19-17, and it was at Minnesota, which is great.
Yeah.
They got us the first game of the year, and so now we got them back. That's 1-1. And now we're 7-3, and we're on top of our division.
I know.
How about
That's
that,
insane.
Danny?
That's insane.
How about that?
You're gonna be too much at the end of the season.
He told me week 11 the Bears would be winning their
Yeah,
division.
that is insane.
That's just incredible.
It's a good record.
Absolutely.
It's a good record,
Next week's opponents, the Steelers, are coming into the Bears. I feel like this might be a little bit of a trap game. I know the Steelers haven't been playing as well as they could. They may or may not have Aaron Rodgers at quarterback because he got a little bit injured, a little
His
bit
hand,
banged
right?
up. Right, his left hand. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. We haven't had a great track record against Aaron Rodgers when he was with Green Bay. So maybe,
hopefully he'll be out.
Yeah,
there.
hopefully he'll be out there and we can pay him back.
he can come back the following
We'll see. Exactly. Well, that wraps up the first quarter. We'll be back after this break.
Hello, I'm Danny Arroyo, Vice President of Programs at Pathlight Home. If you're new to our mission, welcome. We're dedicated to changing the lives of those experiencing homelessness and hardship through housing, support services, and career training. What began as one dream for a compassionate solution to homelessness has become a reality. Since our funding, we've provided housing for more than 8,000 people, offering shelter, opportunity, and hope. This month, as we honor National Homeless Awareness Month, we are also kicking off our end-of-year campaign, a time to come together and give back. Every contribution, whether monetary or in kind, directly supports our residents and the community we serve. No gift is too small to make a difference. As we celebrate our journey from dream to reality, thank you for being part of this mission. Together we can make the dream of ending homelessness a reality in our community.
This is the second quarter. We're getting a little deeper into a homelessness topic with something we call offense versus defense. We will each take turns discussing some opposing viewpoints of our topic this week. The question we will ask this week is, are prevention services effective at reducing homelessness? Please remember that we're trying to show both sides of the issue, These do not necessarily reflect our individual stances on these positions. So, are prevention services effective at reducing homelessness? Danny, this week you have the offense or the yes, they are effective. So,
All right. So, first one is preventing homelessness is cheaper than resolving it later. Numerous cost studies show that eviction prevention, short-term financial assistance, and mediation programs are far less expensive than emergency shelter, policing, healthcare, or long-term rehousing, because even one eviction can trigger long-term housing instability. Preventing that event often saves governments money overall. Number two, evidence shows targeted prevention works for high-risk households. Research has found that targeted data-driven prevention, example focusing on households with past evictions, extremely low income, or prior shelter use, can significantly reduce shelter entries. Programs such as flexible assistance, financial assistance, kind of like our Flex Fund, legal aid, and diversion services have demonstrated measurable reductions in homelessness when used with the right populations. Number three, prevention protects vulnerable groups before crises escalate. Prevention funding helps stabilize populations at higher risk, such as youth leaving care, women fleeing domestic violence, people exiting hospitals or prisons. By intervening early, systems avoid trauma and negative long-term impacts. Number four. Number four. Community and landlord mediation reduces evictions. Mediation programs often successfully negotiate payment plans, repairs, or behavior agreements that allow tenants to remain housed. These services are cheaper and less confrontational than formal evictions. And the last is prevention maintains social and economic stability. Keeping individuals housed preserves employment, schooling, mental health stability, and existing support networks. Avoiding homelessness avoids the downward spiral that is difficult and costly to reverse.
and now I'll talk about the cons or why it might not be as effective. Prevention. It's difficult to accurately target who will become homeless. Many people who receive prevention aid may not have become homeless anyway, meaning resources may be spent inefficiently. Predicting homelessness is difficult, and high risk does not always translate to actual shelter entry. Some households face structural barriers that prevention can't fix. Prevention can't overcome the lack of affordable housing stock, extremely low income relative to rent, systemic issues like discrimination or inadequate mental health services. Without broader structural change, prevention funding can only provide temporary relief. Next is the short-term financial aid may merely delay homelessness. If rent continues to be unaffordable, one-time assistance may postpone rather than prevent a future eviction. For chronically impoverished households, prevention may be a Band-Aid solution. Next, prevention can divert funds from proven interventions like Housing First. Critics argue that resources should focus on housing supply and long-term support, not on preventing individual crisis. When budgets are limited, funding prevention might reduce investment in permanent supportive housing or rapid rehousing. And finally, effectiveness is hard to measure. Successful prevention is often invisible. If someone stays housed, it's unclear whether the intervention caused it. This makes evaluation difficult and can weaken the case for continued public funding. So I'll start by talking about some of your points, Danny. I think it is cheaper. Obviously, your first point was it's cheaper than homelessness. There's no doubt about that. We used to, when I was doing outreach, we used to say all the time, stay housed as long as you possibly can, because it's so much harder to get someone out of homelessness than to keep them from coming into homelessness. I think one of the other things that it helps maintain social and economic stability. I think that's a really good point to make, is that if the person has a good social network, if they have a good support network in place already, giving this type of funding, prevention to those types of individuals can really help them, because like you said, then it gets them over that little bump. It's just a bump in the road, and they can go right back to their social support networks. They can go right back to what they were doing before. If they're working, if they have friends and family, if they have church, if they have those supports in place, and they just need a little extra to get them over, I think that's the perfect scenario for using prevention. But I think if you don't have that, again, back to my points, If you don't have that support network, and all we're doing is paying your rent for a month, and the next month you're going to be in the same situation,
Exactly. Yep.
that doesn't really solve the problem. It doesn't really.
It's putting a Band-Aid on it.
And unfortunately, I don't think most prevention programs look at that deeply at it. They see someone who's in need, someone who's about to be evicted, and they say, okay, we're going to provide services to you. They don't look at all the other factors around it, but unfortunately, I think that's the only way that prevention, or I should say, not the only way, but that's the way to maximize prevention, is to look at those other factors. And I think if we don't look at those other factors, and I know there's a lot of studies going on right now about prevention effectiveness and, whether people will actually become homeless or not, which again is another one of those points that I made, that we don't know who's going to become homeless or not, or we're not really good at predicting it. If we could become better at that and understand which factors really lead to homelessness, I think then we could really target those prevention dollars.
Yeah, no, I think some of your points, the short-term financial aid merely delay homelessness, and also the effectiveness to measure how hard it is to measure it. Yeah, I agree. I think it's really difficult to know what the next step is for that person.
Right.
Is it we're just paying for 1 month, and then what's going to happen the following one? So for me, when we worked on it, when we did it, we dug deeper into the person. We didn't just say, you need it? Oh, sure, here's $1,000. We went deeper and kind of did a history on the person of what they were going through. Were they always short on rent? Did they have just reading some of these brought me back to the stuff that the people I dealt with and the clients I worked with was, that family support.
That's right.
That, we saw, just from my experience, there was more families asking for prevention dollars than singles.
Yeah,
because the rent is higher. You have kids to support. Just like when we talked about SNAP benefits disappearing.
That's right.
We were like, these people are going to struggle. They're going to start asking for money for rent.
Oh, absolutely.
They are, or for utilities.
Yeah.
So I think if you, like you said, if you dig deeper into the person and what if they're going to be sustainable afterwards,
right,
it kind of helps the process. But if it's just to, like we said, put a Band-Aid on it, it's not going to work.
No.
It's not. And most of these funding sources that I worked with was a 1-year help. Once you got it, that's it.
Right.
You couldn't ask for it again.
Yeah.
So if you're not ready to continue your path of paying your rent and utilities, and we help you once, in 6 months you're going to ask for it again, and the resources are going to not be there for you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And here's the thing. I think this is the thing that really that we're both talking about in this is, look, there are far more evictions that happen in our communities than homelessness. So not everybody that gets evicted, not everybody that can't pay their rent for 1 month or whatever the case is, ends up homeless. Right. A lot of people figure it out. They really do figure out how to use their support systems, how to build on whatever deficiencies they have or whatever problems they're having.
To that point, though, we found when I was doing this was a lot of people would come to us and they owed 2 months rent,
right?
Maybe 3 months, and we'll ask them, why did you wait so long?
Right.
And it's because they were trying to figure it out.
They were trying to figure it out.
They were trying to figure out and talk to their cousins and talk to their moms and see if they could, gather some money to at least work with the landlord.
That's right.
And sometimes it worked, and then other times they were stuck, and then it made it harder.
Sure.
To cover 3 months worth, or they're going through an eviction process, which now we have to bring, legal services in to provide some other services. So you can try to get other resources, but at what point do you say, okay, I can't find anything now, let me try to get some help somewhere else?
Well, but you bring up a good point, though, is that's where prevention programs have to be a little more flexible on that. Right. Because you're right. If someone could not find the support in 2 or 3 months worth of trying to find support, well, then that's probably a good prevention candidate. Yeah. I mean, helping them get them over that hump might be good. Or in some cases, you might just have to say, look, we need to bring you into our homeless service system. Right. Because obviously you don't have the supports there, and you're not going to be able to sustain this after we pay for it. Yeah. So, I mean, it's really trying to navigate both of those sides of it. Yeah. It's trying to figure out, do you really need the funding? Will it help you move to the next level? Or do you not have the supports in place? Right. because if you don't have the supports in place, then we need to bring in those
Right.
artificial supports.
Because this is going to happen again.
Because it's going to happen
It's
again.
going to happen again.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. All right.
So really looking at it that
Yep,
way is
definitely.
really the way to be able to do it. And now we'll give you Pathlight Home's position, which is safe and affordable housing is the only real prevention for homelessness. If that can't be achieved or sustained for people, then no amount of prevention funding is going to be effective. And again, we talked about
Exactly
that,
what
right,
you just
Dan?
said. Yep. Mhm.
Yeah. So we've made it to the halfway point, and during halftime, we want to take a moment for fan interaction and highlight an inspired quote related to housing and homelessness.
All right, so let's start hearing from our listeners. So the first question comes from Marcus. The question is called, how should success in homelessness prevention be measured? So we've chatted about that.
Yeah,
a
we
bit.
chatted about it a little bit. So success in homelessness prevention. I've seen it done multiple ways. Obviously, if somebody stays in their housing, you can call that success on some level. But I think there has to be some longevity that goes along with
Right,
that.
exactly.
And
Yep.
I think, you talked about the 30, 60, 90 days, 6 months, 12 months. I think that's what you've got to look at, is you've got to look a little further out there to see if prevention really worked longer term rather than just that 1 month. Obviously, we can pay your rent for 1 month and you can sustain for another 30 days. That one's pretty simple. I wouldn't say that that's a good success
That's
measure.
not, yeah.
But 90 days, 6 months from now, if you can sustain your housing after the prevention services is input for 90 days or 6 months,
Yep.
I think at that point we would probably have to say it's successful. Even if after that longer term, somewhere along the way you become homeless later,
Right.
I think that prevention service was definitely successful. And again, maybe it goes to the return on investment. You know what I'm saying? If we spend $1,000 for you to keep you in housing for another 6 months, the reality is, what would our homeless services have spent on you during those 6 months?
Right, exactly, yeah.
And so is it a better deal to give you $1,000 now and see you in 6 months, or is it better to spend $1,000 on you or more than $1,000 over the next 6 months?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of
Yeah, I
where you have to
think
measure.
just paying someone's rent and you stayed in your unit is kudos, but it's not success.
No.
It's following up with them, and then in a lot of prevention programs has no follow up or case
Right,
management. It's
right.
a one and done.
Yeah.
So we have no idea how they've done.
That's right.
Did they go back out on the street? Now, if they don't call us, we're assuming they're okay.
That's right.
But they probably went and got some funding somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but I think that 30, 60, and I think 30 is too short. I think
Yeah.
it got to be 90, 6 months, even up to a year.
I agree.
That to me is successful.
Yeah,
If in a
absolutely.
year you reach out and you're okay, you don't need our help anymore, we're
Yeah.
good, that's successful to
Yeah,
me.
absolutely.
So,
One of the best ways that I saw measuring success when I was in Jacksonville is we worked with the utilities company, and what we did is we did follow up for the people that we got got prevention dollars to find out if they still had their utilities on.
oh, that's pretty good.
It was a perfect example
Yeah.
of success, because at 6 months, if we could see that they were still on the utility roll and they were still paying their utilities,
Right.
we pretty much considered that a
Yeah.
success. And it was a great way to do it. It was a great partnership that we created with the electric authority there. And I think it was a real way to be able to measure
Yeah, that's pretty
success
good.
for programs. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
because you know they're still living there.
That's
so.
right. You know that somebody
Yeah.
they still have it in their name and they're still living
Yeah.
somewhere with utilities. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, the next question comes from Joshua. What barriers limit prevention programs' effectiveness?
Again, I think we've talked about these
Yep.
a little bit. I think it's some of the limitations we put on it, and I think, and again, very rarely is it us as program service providers that put limitations on the funding. We very rarely get a chance to do that. Now, our flex fund that we have here at Pathlight Home, we got to create those criteria, which is why I think it's a little more effective. But
And it's a little bit more flexible.
and it's more flexible, exactly. Again, flex fund. I think when funders put barriers or put limitations on who they can serve, how they can serve them, all those different types of things, I think that's when it gets a little bit less effective, because they'll put barriers that are unrealistic, or it becomes clear in some cases that the funders might just be trying to get the money out the door, as we say.
Right, yeah.
And that's all they're trying to do. So it's first come, first serve. It's, we don't have any prioritization. It's, things like that. Those often make for an ineffective.
Yeah. I remember just some of the funding sources we had was so detailed of what they want, and it was just having the case manager and the client just jumping through hoops.
Right.
And it was so frustrating. And, you got to think about the person is about to be evicted. Their light's about to be turned off. They're struggling right now.
Right.
And then to have them add all this extra, we need this paperwork, it was really, really difficult to get some of that funding. But I agree, some of them were like, you have to spend the money, well, we know that.
Right.
Don't put so much on us
That's right.
for someone to qualify, because it's just, there were some people that just for one document wouldn't qualify.
Right,
or
that's right.
a certain dollar amount wouldn't qualify. And it was very frustrating to get that done.
Well, and it's creating that balance there. It's finding the balance between too many barriers and not enough barriers,
right.
or not enough targeting of your population. And so it's finding that sweet spot in the middle where you have some, eligibility rules that you have because you're targeting a specific population. And also not having enough barriers so that you can serve that actual population. So it's really in between.
You have to meet somewhere in the middle with that.
That's right, exactly. Yeah, I think so. It's time to get inspired by our quote of the week. This quote comes from Roseanne Haggerty, who is the President and Chief Executive Officer of Community Solutions. Ending homelessness is not impossible. It just requires the moral will to see every human being as worthy of a home. I think that's great. I think that's perfect. I have firmly believed that since I've been in the homeless service system, is that homelessness is not impossible to end. We could end homelessness. It's absolutely having that will and being able to see people as human beings and part of our community that we need to serve. Just like any other person in our community, if someone, gets cancer, we want to make sure that they get served. If someone is, gets into a car wreck, we want to make sure that they get served. Right. Anybody else in our community has an issue or has a problem, we want to make sure that they are whole, that we can get them back into our fabric and they can be productive citizens. So I have a little bit of a story for this one. When I first started out as an outreach worker, we were part of a team. So I think there was 5 of us on the team, 5 case managers or 4 case managers and our team lead. So we were a small group, and every day we would sit down at the beginning of the day and we would go over new applicants or new people who were possible clients of ours. And we had eligibility criteria and things like that. We were serving people who were the hardest to serve. They had to be unsheltered, and they had to have a severe and persistent mental illness. But we still got to decide who came into the program. So we would sit down every day. We'd have a staff meeting basically at the beginning of the day, and anybody who had come in the day before, who had come in to, try to get into our program, we would do kind of a screening sheet with them. And then whoever had screened them would present them to the group and say, here's who I have. Should we take them in or should we not? Well, so we had 5 people on the team. So 2 of our staff members were, I would say, highly unusual, I guess. We had one staff member who wanted everybody to get in, said yes to every single person that got screened. And then we had one staff member who said no to every single person that got screened. And it was the weirdest thing because they had a great relationship. They loved each other. They were fantastic. But we would have these just knockdown dragouts about who should get in and who shouldn't. And they would make their cases, and the rest of us, the other 3 of us, would sit and we would listen, and we would try to make a real rational decision. Well, one day after a meeting, a pretty heated meeting, I went over to the gentleman who always said no to everybody, and I asked him a question. I said, "Why do you always deny every single person?" I said, obviously some of these people are eligible
Right.
to get in. And of course they did get in. I said, but why do you deny every single person? And he said this, and this is really poignant. He said to me, he said, you know what, Carl? He said, it's because I don't want people to be in our system. He said, when you get in our system, you get stigmatized, you get labeled, and you all of a sudden become a different person when you will become one of our program residents or one of our program clients. And he said, I don't want people to have to go through that if they don't have to. And here's the thing about it, is he said, I will try every other option for people before they come to us because we are the option of last resort.
Right.
And it was poignant to me because I had never thought about it that way, but it was true. When people became clients of ours, it changed who they were. They were no longer Bob Jones or whoever. Now they were Link or at the time it was Link or Quest client. And it completely changed, how people might see them from the outside.
Right.
And so he and the beautiful thing about what he was saying is that he saw them as human beings and he saw them as people who deserved not to be labeled,
Right.
who deserved not to be stigmatized, who deserved not to have to go through our system. So he was trying everything. And let me tell you, he had a list. He had a huge book of resources available to people other than ours. And he would always make the case, no, let's send them here first. Let's send them to this other program that is not as severe as our program, because he was trying to keep them out from reaching that level and basically saying, look, you're on the bottom of the totem pole. I want to keep you at a higher level. I want to keep you with some dignity. I want to keep you with all these other, because once you come in here, we have to treat you as a client and you're going to be stigmatized.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's this quote is saying that, is looking at everyone as a human being.
That's
I
right.
mean, and
Absolutely.
everybody's worthy of a home. Everybody is, and it's,
Absolutely.
But again, when you see people, I think that's what we try to do at this podcast, is educate people, like we've been trying to do all
That's
these
exactly
episodes.
right.
Is when you see someone on the street, they're a person, regardless
They
of
are.
the situation they're
Absolutely.
in. They're a person and they're going through something and they need help.
That's
They
exactly
need help,
right.
and so.
But it was really about prevention. I mean,
Right.
more than anything, he was trying to prevent people
From going into the
from
program.
having to use a service that he knew was their last resort. He's like, look, if everything else fails, then let them come to us. But I want to try everything
You
else
exhausted
first.
all the other options.
I've exhausted all the other options, exactly. And it was really poignant to me to look at it that way.
Yeah.
You know?
Kind of saw it in a different light, the way he was
Absolutely.
thinking. So.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, and that concludes our halftime. Please stay with us after this short message.
Hello, I'm Gigi Ramirez, the Senior Director of Fundraising and Engagement here at Pathlight Home. For over 30 years, we've helped more than 8,000 people transition from homelessness to hope. But when someone moves from the streets to their own home, they often have nothing. That's why we provide immediate essentials, everything from bedding and food to soap and cookware, to help them truly feel at home. Beyond housing, Pathlight offers career training and supportive services, like our 12-week culinary program, helping residents gain skills, find jobs, and rebuild independence. You can be part of the story. Volunteer your time, donate essential goods, or become a monthly Pathlight hero, ensuring every neighbor has a chance to thrive. Visit pathlighthome.org to donate today.
It's now time to kick off the third quarter by highlighting the goodwill and good works in the NFL community and looking at how our local football teams fared and announcing our NFL home team locks of the week. So our NFL player spotlight of the week goes to Washington Commanders veteran quarterback Marcus Mariota. He continues to lead both on and off the field. Known for offering guidance and motivation to his teammates, Mariota also gives back to his home state of Hawaii through community outreach. For the 7th consecutive year, Mariota's Motive 8, that's with an 8, Foundation, partnered with Ruby Tuesday Hawaii for their 11th annual Giving Thanks event, according to KHON2. 2. Held earlier this week, the event brings an early Thanksgiving celebration to those in need across the islands. Ruby Tuesday staff at 2 Hawaii locations prepared 800 pounds of turkey and traditional Thanksgiving sides like stuffing, mashed potatoes, gravy, and corn. The meals were then delivered to local organizations, including IHS, River of Life, Surfing the Nations, Wane Boat Harbor, and the Veterans Center. The Washington Veterans Motivate Foundation plays a key role in supporting Hawaii communities year-round. It provides educational opportunities, including building computer labs in underserved schools, and supports student athletes through programs like GPA Showcase, which helps high school student athletes earn college scholarships. The foundation also distributes food and supplies to families in need and has provided meals to frontline workers and homeless shelters. Mariota, who recently re-signed with the Commanders on a 1-year deal, continues to use his platform to give back. Through initiatives like Giving Thanks, he brings hope and nourishment to those who need it most, helping bring comfort and care to those in need.
800 pounds of turkey.
800 pounds.
See, giving back to where he came from.
Yes,
that's
giving
the
back to
story.
where he came from, absolutely.
I think now that we're in the holiday season, we're going to see a lot more players. Not that they don't give throughout the year, but
That's
now
right.
you'll see a ramp up on,
Well, and
certain
it's
meals and
we talked about this before. It's hard on people
Yeah.
when they don't have a place to stay and they don't have their family to be around for the holidays. I mean, obviously, this is a time when you usually get together with your families.
Right.
You spend time at your home. You have a nice home cooked meal. All of those different things. And so, if you don't have that available, this can be a really depressing time for people.
it is, right?
To be able to go through in that kind of situation. So
He's doing great work.
yeah, absolutely. And now we're on to the fantasy football player pick
Yes,
of the week. Here we
yes.
go, Danny.
Let's see what
All
happened.
right, I'm up, I'm down.
I
I'm
heard a
up,
little bit
I'm
yesterday,
down,
so
I'm
go
up,
ahead.
I'm down. All right. So last week I picked Derrick Henry, running back for the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore is playing at Cleveland. He was expected to get 12 points. And the Yeti got me 17 points.
good.
How about that, Danny?
very
Yes.
good. Very good.
Yes, he's back. He's
Finally,
back.
finally.
When the snow falls, Derrick Henry runs.
Yeah.
That's the way it
You
works.
said it last week. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very good.
This week, I'm choosing one of my own, Colston Loveland, a tight end for Chicago. Pittsburgh is playing at Chicago, and they have Colston Loveland. I don't understand this. They have Colston Loveland expected to get 4 points. 4 points is pathetic, Danny. If he doesn't score more than 4 points, I might have to quit.
We're going to take this segment out.
We're
We're going to eliminate this segment
if
completely.
he can't score 4 points or more, come on
Yeah.
now. I mean, that's
Oh,
ridiculous.
next week's going to be
So
fun.
he can do more than 4
Good.
points. So my fantasy flashback this week
Yes.
takes us back to week 12 of 2007.
Adrian Peterson.
Adrian Peterson, running back for the Minnesota Vikings. He rushed for 296 yards against the San Diego Chargers, setting the single-game NFL rushing record, which still stands today. 296 yards in a game
Did they
of
win
rushing.
Did they win that game?
They did win that
Okay,
game.
just
Yes,
want to
they
make
did.
sure.
Yes, they did.
All that rushing
They
and you
did.
don't win the
They
game.
did win the game.
Good.
Absolutely. 296
Wow.
yards. That's just, wow. That's unheard of. I mean, 200 yards.
How
is
many
almost
touchdowns did he
impossible.
score? Do you know?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No, it didn't
He
say
had to
how
score
many,
a couple.
but
He had to.
He might not have. I
maybe
mean,
just a good running game.
running,
Yeah.
running a lot. Yeah, absolutely. But 296
pretty good.
yards. That's just wow. All right, and now we're on to our local football teams to
Yes.
watch. Okay, here
Playoffs.
we go.
Playoffs. Yes.
Here we go. All right. So my Jones High School, Jones played Deltona. We won 35-13.
Very good.
Our record now is 9-2. In Florida, we're ranked number 32. In Orlando, we're ranked number 5. Next week, we got a tough game next week. Of course, this is a playoff, so we expect this.
Yes.
Jones is playing versus Vanguard, who is also 9-2. So should be a pretty good game, but I think Jones can get it done.
Yep.
It's playoff time.
All right. Well, Boone High School played Winter Park, and we did win that game. I forgot the score here, but we did win that game.
Great.
We are 10-1.
Nice.
Florida, we're at 51, and Orlando 10.
Okay.
Next week, we got a really hard game.
Yeah.
We're going to play DeLand, who is 11-0.
11-0.
So that's going to be a really hard game.
Ooh, 10-1 versus 11-0. You know it's the playoffs
You
now.
know it's the playoffs.
You know
Yeah,
it's the
exactly. Yeah.
No more of these 0-17.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. So it's going to be, it should be a good game. So they're both on same day, 11-21.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
So should be very good. Now we'll go on to our NFL locks of the week. And last week, as my home team, I predicted Buffalo would beat Tampa Bay. That was a good game.
Yeah.
Shootout. 44-32, Buffalo came through. So that puts me at 5-6.
Hey, you're getting there.
All right.
Good for you. All right. I had the Commanders against the Dolphins. The Dolphins won 16-13. So my record card is a 7-4.
Now, hold on. I want to dispute this one.
Why?
I'm throwing a red flag
No,
or a
no,
yellow flag
no,
on this
no.
one. Yeah. They weren't actually at home. You do realize, right? This game was played in Spain.
No, don't do that.
That's not a home team.
Come on.
That's not, I'm just saying they were the home. They were designated the home team,
Somebody
but they were not at
salty.
home.
Salty
They were
with-
not at home.
Okay.
So
All right.
I'm just
I'm just going to keep it
I'm
moving.
just saying we should call that 7-3-1. You get a tie.
So just
for
like
that
Dallas,
one.
they got a tie.
I think that's what we should do because they weren't at home. They weren't at home.
All right, let's move
Yeah,
on.
You got to check your.
Let's move
your
on.
numbers. This week, I am taking the Los Angeles Rams, who are hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So
You're going against Tampa
Bay,
again.
yeah, going
Second week
against
in a row.
Tampa again, second week in a row. So we'll see.
So
LA needs this win.
Yep. So I have the Falcons against the Saints. They will be playing in New Orleans.
Will
just
they?
so you know.
Okay, good.
Not in Spain again.
Thank goodness.
So anyway, so that should be a good game.
We
as
shouldn't
well.
get a tie out of this.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
good.
we'll see. I'm keeping my 7-4. So all right, let's move on. So stay tuned for our wrap up after this message. That's so grimy.
Hello, everyone. I'm Carl Falconer, the president and CEO of Pathlight Home, and I'm often asked by many in the community, what can I do to help end homelessness? I would like to invite you to join Pathlight Home's efforts. Pathlight Home is a 501c3 nonprofit organization in Central Florida. We currently have 560 units of housing that we provide to individuals experiencing homelessness, but we also provide additional support through employment resource centers and mental health services. We have a drop-in day center where people can come in from the heat, do laundry, get meals, all in preparation to get them into housing eventually and off the streets. Community involvement is key to the success of our efforts, and we love when community members want to get involved with Pathlight Home. There are 3 things we invite you to do to help. Number 1, consider supporting us with funding. No donation is too small, and every dollar has an impact on our community. You can go to pathlighthome.org and click our donate button to contribute anytime. Number 2 is volunteering. We'd love to have volunteers come in and help us with any of our projects. We have ongoing projects and needs, but are also open to individuals and groups sharing specific talents in ways that build up our residents. Number 3 is take a tour with us. Come here to our facility and see what we do for yourself. It's the best way to get an inside look at what we're doing at Pathlight Home each day. We think it's important to understand the work it takes to fight homelessness and love the opportunity to meet community members who are passionate about the issue. We love our Central Florida community and are grateful every day for the continued support. And again, to get involved, go to pathlighthome.org. Thank you. Welcome to the fourth quarter, where we will wind down this episode by reflecting on a homelessness MVP and no fumble this week, actually, before wrapping up with our key takeaway.
All right. So let's start with our MVP of the week. The Detroit Lion players and staff joined others in the community to put in a win for Thanksgiving meals for those in need. On Tuesday, November 11th, players and staff joined volunteers for the Meyer and the Lineage Foundation for Good in packing Thanksgiving meal kits at Gleaners Community Bank in Taylor. Volunteers packed canned and dry goods into 3,000 Thanksgiving meal kits.
Ooh.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Well, look at this. These meal kits are part of the Lions' plan for 10,000 kits, double from last year. Part of what made the meal kits possible is donations from Detroit Lion partners. For years, the Lions have done Thanksgiving meal initiatives to help those in need. This is the second annual partnership with Grand Rapids-based grocer Meijer and the third with Gleaners. As they did last year, Meijer, the exclusive grocery partner for the Lions, is donating all proceeds from this year's Raise the Roar Lions flag sales to the Detroit Lions Foundation, with proceeds tackling food insecurity. The meal kit packing initiative began a month ago and included Detroit Lions partners AAA, the Auto Club Group, ACG, Delta Airlines, Jiffy Mix, Lineage Foundation for Good, and Modern Woodmen of America. Angela Havelson, Director of Community Giving for Gleaners Community Food Bank, said packing these meal kits on Tuesday represents a community coming together to help neighbors who might be food insecure this time of year. The time is important because Thanksgiving is in a couple of short weeks from now, and we want to make sure that many in southern Michigan are going to sit down to a warm meal that they can count on for the Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah. And we didn't really talk about this in our prevention discussion, but this is a form of prevention.
Prevention, yeah.
Is being able to provide other things, other support. Well, it doesn't necessarily always have to be just money. I mean, being able to provide food so people don't have to spend money on that food, and being able to provide other services to people
It's kind of like our food pantry here, right? At all our locations, is we give that little extra help when someone is short on cash. We have food for them as well. So, as Carl mentioned earlier, we have no fumble of the week, so that's a good thing.
Yes.
And now we are finally, here's our key takeaway for this episode. So we must continue to work further and further upstream to prevent homelessness before it happens. If we don't resolve systemic issues that are causing homelessness, then no amount of prevention or service dollars are going to reduce it.
Yeah, we talked about this in offense versus defense is the systemic issues are where we've got to get to. We've got to get to more affordable housing.
Right.
We've got to get to higher wages for people or livable wages for people. We've got to get to the point where it's not even an issue for people to become homeless.
Right.
They have to have enough to sustain themselves before they do.
Yep.
So that concludes our episode for the week. Remember, if you have any questions or comments for us, please email us at questions@pathlighthome.org. As always, we leave the last words for our beloved co-founder, the late Reverend Fred Maxwell. Take it away.
I'm still dreaming. That we will become able and sufficient to increase the housing of homeless. This is merely a beginning.